Hello and welcome to Wrestle Opinionated. This is our second episode, our podcast all about the great shows of AEW. We are your hosts. I am Morg and this is...
Hi, I'm Strange. Famous 2016 sweary man of the internet.
This is the uncensored, uncut, unedited, raw AEW podcast. That makes it sound like it's part of Raw, doesn't it?
It does, man. We're signing up now. We're corporate people. But by saying that, it means I can say fuck as much as I want, so I'm in.
I thought that might be a good thing. So,
Yes,
what have you been up to this week, Mr. Strange?
What have I been up to this week on the mighty Isolation World? I have watched an awful lot of wrestling. I have watched The Dark Side of the Ring. Oh my god. I would 100% recommend aspects of this series to our wonderful listeners. But don't watch them all in a run. Ruth got a run on and she's got ADHD, so she can just fucking plow through that. Not me. Like, I got through the Macho Man one, I was like, oh, that's sad. And then the Von Erichs one went on and I was like, oh my god, what is life?
I can't even begin to consider. I haven't got around to watching them yet, I have to admit.
Going on a strong day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be ready.
They're on my list. Some of our listeners may notice our sound is a little bit off because this has been the week of the destroyed mics.
Cursed technology.
Yeah. I'm currently using my gaming headset and not my nice Blue Yeti microphone that decided to die. And Mr. Strange, what just happened to you?
The audio jack for my mic snapped off in Ruth's PC, which is wonderful because that's her expensive PC for work and stuff. So I am powered by a PS4 headset plugged into my mobile phone today. So you can put the good quality on my high-grade tech skills.
So, I think before we start off, because this might be somebody's first episode. They may not have
I think it's quite likely. It's reasonably
strongly
likely.
possible that you should explain our ranking system and how that works.
Okay, so I rate matches on 5 grades, often associated with anime, but today we're going to go with 1990s Japanese computer game rankings. If you ever played something like Resident Evil 2, I don't even know if it was in the first one, Tenchu, Project Zero, you'll know when you complete a level in a Japanese game, you get your rank. D means you did crap. You could have done better. You didn't have a lot of interest in that level. You failed. C, you did all right. Standard run through. We've had a good match. Everything's hit sort of the right points. You've done well. B, you found some secrets. You hit some of those emotional spots. You unlocked some story. A good, strong match that I enjoyed watching. A, you fucking aced that level. You've got through. You've got most of the things. You've hit all the points. Your story's good. Your gameplay's good. It's relevant. You know what's going on. Wonderful. And of course, the mysterious S rank. The hardest of all things, where you've got all the secrets. Your match is top tier. You've hit all of the points. You've not slipped up. Everything looks ace. You've got all the secrets. It ties into the story. The Resident Evil tier list of level completion for wrestling today.
Excellent.
I'm mixing it up with my descriptions.
I like that, yeah. And so I think we're on to this week's AEW news.
The news. Well, in my news section, I've written everything is terrible.
I think that's fairly legit at the moment.
Everything is shut down. Everybody's locked away. I mean, in AEW Dark, with the Tony Khan pushing forwards to support smaller wrestlers and getting some of those indie talent their work. They did call in a bunch of people to the local arena, a bunch of the lesser-known indie wrestlers, which we get to talk about in our Dark review. So they got paid. All the big AEW staff are on salaries. They're good. They're cool. Bringing out a bunch of these little indie lads, we can see what they're doing. I'm sure some of these guys are actually really big in their area, and I've just never heard of them because I'm only just getting back into wrestling. But yeah, that's the highlight of good guy news. Well, it's not the highlight of good guy news. There will be more good guy news later. Apparently, there's some beef with the WWE.
Apparently WWE were not impressed by Brody Lee's Vince McMahon parody. So Brody Lee's promo, which we will cover later properly in our Dynamite review, had him being offended at someone sneezing, which is a Vince McMahon hatred. He hates people sneezing. Vince is a control freak. You know, something that's involuntary as sneezing would certainly upset him. And apparently the E are not impressed with Brody Lee for having a go. And I think when you're Vince and you're turning around and you're just not giving a guy a chance that everybody sees a lot of fans see potential in, and I know I sound like a proper smark now, but we know how good he is and what he can do, and just because Vince doesn't see anything in you, that doesn't necessarily, WWE is not the be all and end all of wrestling anymore.
No. Well, as I said last week with his initial promo with the there's already been one old man who didn't believe in me, or whatever it was. I was like, everybody gets one. You know, you leave the WWE, you've had a bad time because you've not been taken care of, and in what you want. I understand Brody was very polite about the WWE in his Jericho interview, but everybody gets one. He got his old man joke, and as much as I didn't get all of the any possible Vince connections when I watched that promo. Is it, you get one. Cody's had more than a couple of little cheeky ribs and pops at the WWE. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I'm like, come on, guys, stop it. I think it might be time for them just to leave the WWE alone for a few weeks, especially during lockdown, where, let's be honest, amount of talent and such like you need to worry about is down, and worrying about things like social media and stuff is going to be up. They're going to have to watch each other more because every show they don't have to observe the safety of thousands of fans. I don't know what the average WWE show numbers are like. So there's going to be more eyes on each other.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah. It worries me a little that AEW keep going to that well. TNA went to it, and WCW famously went to it, and AEW needs to be something new. I mean, AEW's main rival is not Raw and SmackDown. It is NXT. You can argue there's an argument for New Japan as well, obviously, but obviously its main WWE rival is NXT. And it worries me that AEW are going to get themselves caught up too much in this, trying to one-up WWE instead of just being the best wrestling show, which is what we know they can be.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, everybody gets one. You've left, you've had a shit time, boom, have your one shitty run. And I suppose Cody gets to make a couple more. He's had his family thing, but it has seemed to be like more recurring and more coming up. And I'm like, just leave it, boys. You're all doing well. We're enjoying your show. Just focus on your story. I mean, admittedly, I do have some issues with some things we saw this week, but we'll get into that. It's been an exciting week in wrestling.
Yes. On a quick side note, apparently I heard a rumor that WWE is not interested in CM Punk returning to the ring. So, CM Punk to AEW. And I think that's where we'll leave the news.
Yeah, why not? Why not? We'll leave it there. Cold. Right.
So yes, I believe now it is again over to you, Mr. Strange. What is your choice of Twitter of the week?
I'm going to big up Evil Uno and pretty much everyone who's connected to the Inner Circle. Not the Inner Circle, the Dark Order, the other organization of heels. Uno continuously, like Unia Uno, is always on Twitter, and if you're the typical sort of AEW fan, in my mind, if you're a weird, gamery, wrestling-y, millennial attitude era sort of person, you'll love him. It's all semi kayfabe. It's all misc shit posting. What was one of his big posts? It was I can stay away from gossip as much as I can, but for my family, I feel it is important to address recent rumours that are hurting the people I love. I am not Brad Shepherd. Now, if you know anything about wrestling news on Twitter and how much of an utter shitheel Brad Shepherd is, it's it's an important thing for somebody to cover themselves with. He wrote a huge list of people who were not the Exalted One, with people from Ryback to Danhausen, Marco Stunt, Dr. Tracksuit, Ron L. Hubbard, Harry Styles, and he's always continuously interacting with his fans. Like, if you post, he'll post back, especially if you're talking about computer games or something. But seeing as the Dark Order originally called the Smash Brothers and Evil Uno was basically Mario, that doesn't surprise me. He played into every single piece of like conspiracy hype. Like when people like Matt Hardy is the Exalted One, he kept posting up appropriate links and like suggestive comments. When people said it might be Sami Callahan over in Impact, he did the same with that. He's continuously playing this game, but in that light, slightly off kind of way, like he's having fun with it. And that's, in honesty, what I want from my wrestling performers. Somebody who's actually like an actor, you know, can celebrate. It's like when Chris Hemsworth did a bunch of Thor videos. Everybody had a laugh because it's this meta in-out joke. The one when he lived with the Australian dude, and it's that kind of thing. Shit tier healing. Like he'll like post about Orange Cassidy sucking, or tell Marco Stunt that he's short. And at one point he was like, "Oh, I don't think much of your local sports team." And somebody was like, "Oh, what about our rival sports team?" He's like, "I've heard they're infinitely better." Just that sort of thing. But over the coronavirus, we did actually get to see some good guy news, like proper good wrestler news. He put out a big post. I shared it on Facebook at the time because we didn't have a Twitter or anything. And it was him saying, in these times of trouble, buy some merchandise from wrestlers, get them through. A lot of these people are independent contractors who aren't making a lot of money because, you know, you can't go to any arena. And somebody was like, "Oh, I'll buy one of your shirts." And he was like, "No, don't buy one from me. Buy one from an indie talent. I have a good salary. Take care of these people. You know, actually look out for the others." Which did lead into a little Braun Strowman kickoff on the internet, if I recall, because he had a whinge about Brody Lee, or accused him of something, because Brody is very much enjoying his freedom now. He's ordered Evil Uno to take over his tweeting of the day, which he's done for the last 2 years. And there's a nice little back and forth dynamic between them. But I believe Braun Strowman either called Lance Archer or Brody Lee a budget version of him, and they started taking the piss back. But Brody Lee also, when Evil Uno was saying, you know, support these struggling people, he pulled that proper American libertarian sort of, well, if they can't work. I don't know what Braun Strowman sounds like. I'm just doing
That's not a bad Braun Strowman impression.
Really, I've never heard it. It's just like, you know, if they can't work, they shouldn't be in this business. They should have been prepared. And everybody's like, it's a virus, mate. You can't exactly plan for this, can you? So yeah, it's actually led to, we've had a bunch of we're moving. I'm taking this straight into the good guy wrestler news. If I'm honest, I'm riding through on this now. Despite Braun Strowman shouting about essentially crazy American capitalism in wrestling, you know, how people should just survive despite a plague and a job which involves traveling around the world. Uno's been pushing shirts of independent wrestlers and such like. Obviously, we had the wonderful No Fans Monday by Wrestle Talk a while back, and Will Ospreay, that was ace. Ali, I don't know his full name, WWE star Ali.
He used to be Mustafa Ali, but WWE have a thing now where you're not allowed 2 names, so he's now just Ali.
All right, okay. Well, he's doing. He's got, from what I hear, he's a really, really good guy in the industry. He offered to pay for the tickets to cover all the wrestlers going to this independent show. just to give them, their income and such like. And the show was cancelled because obviously no one can go now. And he's just donating to pay for the entire event. Just, there you go, little indie guys. I know you're struggling. We'll come from this. Boom, there's a load of money. So that's wicked. Good guy wrestlers.
Fair enough. I think that's, it's nice to hear. We always haven't, talking about earlier on, you saying about the dark side of the ring, you always hear the bad stories, you never hear the good.
The horror of the 80s wrestling, well, 70s, 80s, gets better into the 90s. Yeah, the stairs in JBL. It's good to see that this new generation, I say new generation, I mean, they're all like mid-30s, late 20s to mid-30s, but this new generation of wrestlers who've grown up in the indie scene, which has become more accessible to this mainstream world with NJPW growing, AEW and NXT, obviously. It's nice to see them not going the old wrestler route of spend all my money on drugs.
Yeah, you're getting a lot more, and this is not a CM Punk shout out, but you are getting a lot more straight edge, no drug style wrestlers. I know Darby Allin is another straight edge wrestler. Daniel Bryan doesn't do drugs. I mean, Mick Foley is the one from that era who doesn't even really like having a beer. I think he had one pain pill once. If I read it in his book, I think it's once, it might be twice, and he liked the pain pill too much and then refused to ever have another one.
Oh wow! I really should read all the Mick Foley books and stuff. I just never have.
They're very, very good.
I've only ever heard good things. It's just actually sitting down to read a book,
I'm sure there's an audio version somewhere.
Have you ever tried listening to an audio version of something with an ADHD partner? Have you ever tried reading a book?
Fair.
It's a magical world.
So I think that moves us on to review time.
Okay, where do we begin with that? Where's my notes? Boom.
I think this week's Being the Elite should get a shout out.
Yeah, it was entertaining and very honest. I did a little rewatch earlier, like a speed through, and I quite like Hoarder Kenny.
I found the whole thing fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, it was great, and it was like we had the very open beginning of this is weird, everybody's in lockdown, blah blah blah, things are going different, and then just some fun, really.
Yeah,
just a nice little bit.
It made me genuinely laugh. I know my partner. She is known as the Raptor. There are reasons for this. She cannot get over watching Colt Cabana behind the bottles of water and Kenny's brilliant comedy of never looking at him. So and Colt just sinking further and further down behind the water.
The Colt and Kenny plot is bringing me joy, and I am filled with happiness whenever I see Colt Cabana doing anything.
I like the fact that it's just it's a Being the Elite story as well. It doesn't feel like it should be on Dynamite.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be in there. Like we said at the start, we would always anything relevant in BTE which should be in the TV show, we would criticize that it would need to be shown on the mainstream. But yeah, it's just a nice little fun side story. There's no reason in Dynamite to believe that Kenny and Colt hate each other. But it's nice to see in this comedy, I'll get you, almost Scooby-Doo villain chasing-esque way.
And then the cliffhanger. Yeah,
what is going on? Is friendship returned?
Or is it about to all go out of the window? Yeah. I was legitimately, ooh, at the end of that. Oh, you bastards! You've left a cliffhanger there. I'm looking forward to next week's Being the Elite to see what happened next.
I'm thinking it's building back to them getting back together, or at least getting on the same page.
Ready for Blood and Guts.
Yeah, exactly.
I nearly said War Games.
Oh, Dusty looks down from heaven. He knows you're right. Yeah, so how long's the Drunken Hangman story been going on now? Relatable millennial cowboy Hangman Page. Has it been?
Um,
It's been since before Christmas, hasn't it?
yeah, it's been a while now. It
Yeah,
was
so we've
since
got.
he left the Elite.
I think it's yeah. I think we're about getting ready to this story to sort of round out and him to become, Hangman Page, member of the Avengers again. You know what I mean? He's had his second act fallout. We might be moving into the third act to bring him back and rise him up. I think.
Yeah, though I'm still twitching for a Hangman Page heel turn and him to dethrone Mox.
Oh, that would be good though. As the man who hated Hangman at the start, like at the beginning, I was like, I don't get this well-built average man who's kind of good at everything, and now I'm like, no, Drunken Cowboy, save the day. Yeah, I would like a heel in, but I think he's had a lot of the spotlight, and I think the next heel is going to be somebody we don't expect. I think
Do you think they'll
it's
go
not
Kenny?
the Kenny. There's an inevitable breakup there in one way or another, and yeah, watching Kenny now sort of splitting between the two groups. Yeah, it could be a full cleaner Kenny
That
waiting for.
that would be certainly interesting. So let's
Give, oh,
carry on.
so it'll give people, if they go full cleaner Kenny, it'll give people to see. A lot of people are clamoring for Kenny to have this big NJPW hardcore him versus Okada style just annihilation match. And current Kenny's good. Don't get me wrong, Kenny very good, brilliant in the ring, phenomenal. But we've not seen quite murder annihilation Kenny. You know what I mean? We've not seen full Terminator cleaner Kenny yet, and that's an opportunity to show that to people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to Dark. Normally we just try and give Dark an overall grade. I thought it was a fairly good show, giving the indie guys exposure we spoke about earlier.
I think that might have been one of Jake Hager's best matches that I've ever seen. Sam, for a squash match, and I'm not really a fan of squash matches, but it didn't feel like a squash match. Joe Alonso, who's I don't know if you watch Sammy's vlog on the YouTube, but Joe's been around them for ages and goes to every show and stuff. And they told him he was going to fight Mox, and then when he went out, obviously Hager comes down. But like for a guy I've never seen before, he actually got some moves in. It looked quite clever how he went into Hager. Hager actually did a nice selection of slams and different moves, and he's got a really good Vader bomb. Yeah, but I actually enjoyed Hager's match, and that is a rare thing after how much I complained at him about him at the end of Lucha Underground.
That show that we've never seen.
Didn't see it, never seen it. Otherwise, yeah, it was kind of solid.
I, I I wonder whether in parts it was a bit better than Dynamite.
I wasn't going to say that yet, but I think in parts it was better than Dynamite. The Hager match was definitely better than Dynamite. I can't remember if it's Suge D or Suge D versus Kip. That was a good fun one. Obviously, Colt and Brandon were good together. I've written Spears and...
Colt and Brandon was a gorgeous comedy match, and with a lovely story throughout it. You were about to
Colt
talk
just
about
being a dick.
Yeah, you were about to talk about Spears. I thought the Spears match with Robert Anthony versus SCU was actually really good. I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. I think I lost a bit due to I don't know. I think the lack of crowd and things affects me a bit more when I'm watching wrestling. We're going to get into that into a bit. But whereas Colt kept playing to a crowd that wasn't there and then looking disappointed and stuff, that really sort of helped me.
Yes.
Whereas, it was a good match, and I'm as my shameful love of Sean Spears goes on, I enjoy watching him do everything in his little shit tier heel things. It's definitely one of the better. In fact, we did pretty well through all the shows, if I'm honest. I have written QT needs a personality on this match, which is a bit harsh.
I don't think they let his personality shine through. I think we've seen that before. Is this guy who everyone thinks is a pushover and then isn't? It's a bit like Brandon. He's almost got the Brandon Cutler if you put him up against another tag team and the one partner can't wrestle, all of a sudden Brandon just goes into Roll's natural 20s.
Yeah, I mean, they're both really good. Like, QT is super flippy and, like, really good at what he does and has a load of cool moves. But at least Brandon Cutler's kind of got, like, this cheeky smile and his D&D coat. QT wears a tracksuit and eats an apple. I'm not quite sure how I'm meant to invest in this character.
My last note from Dark is Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. Fucking amazing chemistry, those two. Have they been a tag team before and I've just not been able to find anything about it?
Not that I've seen, but probably. They've both done a lot of indie work. I thought they worked really well together. I just didn't get that. It felt like the most squashy of all the matches with indie guys and girls. You know what I mean? Whereas all the others had a bit more back and forth. I watched most of that match and I was like, oh, they're just kicking shit out of them. I mean, yeah, that they work really well together, and I think they're both phenomenal in their own way. I'd argue I prefer watching Sonny in more realistic matches up until the ass slap move, because Sonny's just phenomenally athletic, and I prefer Janela in the sort of backyardy, brawly sort of thing. Not to put down his technical skills that everybody else sort of goes on about. He's very good, but I don't know, it just felt like an ass kicking to me. I was like, come on, guys. Everybody else has like made their indie dudes look a little bit more impressive. Like the indie dudes all had a bit more of an edge in the other matches, and Sonny and Janela just seemed to kick fuck out of the guys.
I wonder whether little things like the pose at the end and things like whether this is a setup for a new tag team, with AEW being so hot on tag team wrestling. Whether we are just setting up a brand new team.
Well, they've been talking about the new series coming later this year or next year, a second show. So it makes sense to start building up your people you're going to slide off into other shows and see who's going to be good and such. Like, see which of these indie talents can fill these new slots. Because I mean, there's 10 to 12 tag teams at the moment. So my later complaints say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're actually quite tag team heavy. But on the other hand, AEW doesn't differentiate so much between a singles and a tag wrestler. Like, you're allowed to be both in AEW, as opposed to tag teams have half the hit points each of an individual solo wrestler.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so what was your overall grade for Dark?
I gave it a C. Like, I had a good time. A lot of the matches were good, but obviously not mind-blowing because a lot of these guys don't know each other very well. I think Joe Alonso and Suj D were two of the ones who stood out as actually having like future potential really for me for seeing them again in the future. But that's very possibly because I'm just going to butcher this guy's name over and over again, and he's English. That could be because Suja is English as well, and Kip's English, so they'd have probably wrestled each other over here in the indie scenes. Or I'm making a massive fucking assumption. But yeah, I gave it a C. It was good. I think a lot of it would have benefited from, obviously, the crowd and the feeling. It's just been a very fucking weird week when it comes to wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good Dark. C to B. There we go. That's my clever analysis of this one. It was a good one, but we live in weird wrestling times, so it's a bit hard to get behind things without so much of the commentators and commentary and crowd.
That you did get your boy Taz and Excalibur.
Yeah, boy, they are the best team, and I missed them a lot this week on Dynamite. I missed them an awful lot.
Yeah. So on to Dynamite. We open up with our commentary team for the evening. Cody, Kenny, doing guest commentary with Tony Schiavone. What did you think of having those two doing the commentary in and out?
My first comment I wrote on the entire episode was, I miss Excalibur and Taz already. I think we had two sets of issues, and I sort of, like, normally I keep, like, 2/3 of an ear on the commentary. Like, when they get excited, that plays into me. I think especially I think Kenny, although he knows what he's talking about, he's a bit too soft for commentary. He was like, well, they're doing this now, and that's rolling up, and oh, that's impressive. I just couldn't get into it. There was no fire in either of the commentators for the first match. Like, arguably, Kenny was a bit better verbally than Cody when Cody's tagged in. Cody went a bit off and told some random old wrestling stories and stuff, but I kind of enjoyed that because Cody is a fantastic person on any form of mic. You know, he spoke everything with fire and he got excited and he was like, wow, it's just sometimes he wasn't talking about the match. Whereas Kenny was talking about the match, but he's just so soft and delicate. I got no drive from it. Like, it didn't hype anything up for me. How did you feel about it?
I enjoyed Kenny. I thought Kenny was the better of the two at first, and then Cody got into the swing. When Cody came on, he had just had a match, and
he definitely picked up towards the end.
Was talking about it with the Raptor, and she was saying that, she was the one who actually first pointed out that, you know, she wasn't enjoying Cody as much, but then pointed out, well, he has just had a match, so maybe we've got to give him a bit of credit here. I really enjoyed the ending with the Star Trek thing. That did make me giggle, and it's nice to hear that Cody is a bit of a nerd as well.
Oh, the Star Trek. Yeah, I was like, aha, other people will get this as a non-Trekkie. It's part of my thing of being an anti-nerd.
Yeah, I'm a non-Trekkie.
Kind of I know loads of people hate him, but I do miss Matt Stryker on the comms. Matt Stryker being able to talk about D&D and Lord of the Rings and, yeah, like a mix of things I know and enjoy are nerdy and just generic nerdy things that I know that other nerds like. Matt Stryker, for me, is one of the better commentators we've had.
I really liked Matt Stryker.
He really cared. Like, he was really into everything. He was like, oh my God! And you're like, yes, Matt. Get in there.
He definitely went to the ECW school of professional wrestling commentary.
I love it. I think it's Gambino who does NJPW, who's he's either Australian or Kiwi. It's hard to tell because you get a lot of those in NJPW, and you know my other side of the world accent game isn't strong, but he's like a member of Bullet Club, or he says he is, and he'll cheer on one wrestler, and you can hear the enthusiasm and like whoa in his voice, and loads of people hate him. But I like that. It gives me that extra bit of heart in the show, which we're probably going to see suffered in my descriptions of matches in this one, if I'm honest.
So then we went on to our first match. So I've got a question for this one before we go into the match. Your thoughts on the match. Cody versus Havoc. So I have written down here in my note, Havoc's ring jacket.
Oh, did I miss Havoc's ring jacket? What was he wearing this time?
It was the long goth coat. Now, obviously, I might be slightly biased here.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You are slightly more on the Crow fan chart than me. Did I miss it? Oh no, I might have actually missed a coat from a Macho Man scale. I'm gonna have to go back and look it up.
We'll have to come back to that then.
I'm sorry, man. Being in isolation with a heavily ADHD partner means sometimes I'm not quite paying full attention to what I could be.
I am going to have to warn you. I think I've got another note somewhere about a coat as well.
Oh no! I'm going to write a table up and put it on Twitter. It's fine. I'll be like, this is the order of coats.
Yeah, I'll have to do one for beards then. So they did a little bit with the guys in the back doing the reaction. I'm assuming that was to do with the no more than 10 people in an area from last week, and I liked the way that they bled some of the sound from that in again. So you had that.
When the sound bled over, it was really good and it really helped, but it just seemed to sort of come in and come out and not always coinciding with the video, and that confused me a little bit. I was like, just leave it on a base level all the way through, and this will help me.
Yes, I think they should have had them. They should have had that back room permanently in a little box at the bottom.
Yeah, like it's. I'm not going to say it's canned laughter-y. You know, you are specifically setting up your audience, and they're going to be more cheery because they're employed to do so. But just that little bit of sound when things were going down helped so much.
But yeah, Cody sorry, carry on.
So when I've done wrestling training both times now, rings, like you have to stamp and shout and make noise every time you do a maneuver to like really, make it affect, sell it with the noise. People have to turn to look at you, and it just seems weird. Like people, the extra bit of stomp and the extra bit of grr when there's no crowd for it to compete with. In a way, you don't need to go above a background sound if there is no background sound.
Yes. So, on the whole, I thought this was quite a good match. Cody wins with the double crossroads, and Brandy does not announce Cody as the winner. Just something I noticed.
Did she not?
No.
Oh no.
So, what did you
But
think
she
of the
does hate
match?
commentating.
This is
Yeah, it
true.
was good.
And
She's
what score
solid.
did you give it?
I gave it a C. Like I had a fine time. I didn't spot anything wrong, but I wasn't like drawn into it. Jimmy Havoc's at his best when he gets to be brutal, if I'm honest. And I think we're seeing a lot of matches that are put together just because people live locally. Because we had the pre-Revolution Jimmy Havoc promo of him in like in his Dexter room with I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, but I have always been successful. And I think he could have done with a better re-entry into the mainstream. I'd have liked to see Jimmy versus somebody else or Cody a loss, but Cody's Cody, top tier, and he did finish him off with the double finisher, but I don't know. I think it's a match that was just sort of put together, and I'd have liked to see a bit more for Jimmy Havoc, especially because he's got a huge following over here. I just would have helped, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to be a little bit biased towards certain AEW wrestlers.
My British basing. He had a match where he took an axe in once against Will Ospreay. I just want to bring that up.
Then we had a Jake Roberts promo, and told us that Lance was to debut on the next Dynamite. I thought another good Jake Roberts promo.
Once again, the sad thing is, I've watched like all three in order now, as Jake was my favourite childhood wrestler. And he's really good with his words, really good with his pacing. Everything sounds cool and poetic. But the first time he came down, it had a point. It was like, "Yoko's, what's up?" Because that's how Jake the Snake speaks. I'm here to take your slice of the pie. And I was like, "Cool, wicked. Jake's here to do some fucking sinister shit." Then in the second one, he had like his thing of, "Yeah, we just sort of want to be recognized. You should listen to me. It's now personal." And I was like, "Okay. Where's this going?" And now he's like, "You should have offered me a job and brought me in." I'm like, your words are cool. You're losing me on point. Especially when you did do the introduction for the Women's Battle Royale 21 back at the start of this. It's hard for the people to sell to me, we've not been invited from a kayfabe point where they're also putting up a bunch of like, this guy's now AEW and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You need to keep. It would have been nice to have him and Lance Archer as almost a rebel faction. I think you got away with it last week because of it was just random people who could get in the building around the ring. So I thought that worked quite nicely, having them two there.
If Jake had just sort of kept observing and such like, and then one day just had Lance step in and just fucking nail the shit out of Cody and then make his point there, I think that would work more, as opposed to they've come to ask Cody to ask them to fight him. And I don't want to put it down because Jake's wicked and his promo style is great, even with his, terrified, worn out robot voice now. But it needs to go somewhere now. I'm losing a bit.
Well, hopefully
just on premise.
We see that in the next episode when Lance debuts. Are you looking forward to his debut, or is it one of those ones that you'd rather have a crowd for?
I think if you play it right with the emptiness of the crowd, looking at this from like a TV film standpoint over a wrestling standpoint, the isolation of a man in a ring being just destroyed by this giant monster can work really well. And if you almost make it a bit awkward or painful, the lack of crowd's gonna play into that. Almost like a weird execution, just with this 6'8" Texan man. He's got lovely lips if you look at them.
I will have to check that out.
I couldn't in the second promo last week when Jake's there and he's like, he's not here to talk, and Lance Archer's just stood there, just sort of like pouting lightly at the camera, and I was like, he's got a really big bottom lip, like they're very well formed, just spotted. So it's every time I see him now, I'm like, oh, he's a big terrifying fella, but what lovely lips he's got. These are the things I notice.
I must get his hair rating off the Raptor.
The Murder Hawk.
Yeah, yes. After that, we had the Darby Allin. It was the night of the promo. It was the Darby Allin video promo. The old goth in me loved this. I'm probably slightly biased.
Yeah. I think we may. Art-wise, cinematography-wise, great. I'd maybe have liked to see the promo a little bit more directed towards Kip as opposed to, I've got to fight Kip, burn the inner circle. I mean, we know that's his overall enemy, and they've obviously got limited talent available. But, yeah, I don't know. It's more you than me. This is gothic Jeff Hardy. This is your thing.
Yeah, very much so. After that was Kip Sabian versus Darby Allin. Darby Allin's tope suicida. It's horrid and so good.
Yeah, or at least Darby is he's just so quick, so everything he does looks good. We very rarely have wobbly people stood about with Darby because he's like a high-speed blur. He is the Sonic of AEW.
Yes,
like how he pulls off some of the rolls and dives and moves he does is ludicrous.
What did you think of the match? And so Darby wins with the Last Supper.
Yep.
What did you think
Thank
of
God.
the match? And
spine.
what grade would you give the match?
My comments are Darby is great. Cody was having a great time on the mic, from what I understand, or at least what I've written. I was kind of hoping it might build into a feud, if I'm honest. I gave it a C. The wrestling was good, but the storyline didn't really tie into anything. It was obviously just a match thrown together. And both guys are good. It's what I've come to expect from them. I was kind of hoping that maybe Kip would get like some form of heel win or smack down Darby long enough to basically hinder his run against the inner circle. And we could have had a youngster versus youngster feud. You've got the twatty English hipster asshole and the righteous baby face Jeff Hardy, Crow, Morg, goth thing. I really hope that was going to lead into a little like upper mid card story we could have had. So I was, but they're using limited talent. So what can I do? I'm not going to get perfect story matches when.
I also think Kip's set up to feud with Colt next.
After that slap. Yeah, you could have multiple ones. In all honesty, I'm waiting to see when Colt's slightly more heelish side comes out, because as we've seen, he can be a bit of a twat.
Yes. Jake Hager video promo. I don't think it's really worth talking about. It was a Jake Hager video promo. I
didn't even write anything. No, carry on.
Yeah. Then it was Hager versus Chico Adams or a jobber. Straight squash match. Hager wins by submission.
D.
Yeah, I thought you were going to give this a D.
It was shit. Compared to that Joe Alonso match we had on Dark before, where Jake Hager lost his knees, did some cool slams, and it was still a squash. He still battered the guy. But this was just, I was like, oh, it's on. It's Jake Hager. Oh, he's done some smashy things. I assume he choked him out with his new super choke. Or I can't even remember.
Yeah.
It was shit.
Yeah, it was his. I can't remember what the name of it was. I've just wrote down by submission. I think because the name they gave it was so terrible, I did not want to read it out. But it was probably the legitimate name for it. It was like some kind of something cross choke.
Face. No cross.
But yeah, it.
I've been raising my opinion on Hager. The first few times I saw Hager in Lucha, and coming into this, I wasn't impressed. I'm not a big strike style guy, And I'm not one of these people who loves wrestling who gets exciting every time an MMA steps into the ring. And they're like, oh my god, they've come from MMA, they're a real fight. I don't care. You know, if you put a real MMA fighter into Star Wars and when he's going to be really good at Star Wars because he's an MMA fighter, I wouldn't care. Why should I care in my combat opera? But he has been getting better. He's learned some more slams. He's become less boring. And then we had this match, and I was like, oh god, it's old Jake. Please take away. Sorry, that's my Jake Hager bitch.
Mox runs in, paradigm shift, and Hager just gets up. Tries to put Mox in the ankle lock, and Mox rolls through. Tried to make them both look strong. I think made both of their finishes look weak, to me.
Like, I'm not the biggest paradigm shift fan anyway. For me, the DDT belongs to Jake the Snake, and I think when you speed do a move, you lose a lot of the impact of it. Yeah, it was fine, I suppose. Jake is looking better. His beard's added something to his face. He's got a bit more of a manic looking, snarky grin. I don't know. Could be interesting. We'll have to see where it goes. I can't realistically down rank it because it's the beginning of something. But
the Jake Hager face turn. I see. I've got him down to be the inner circle member who turns face, and it's something other people have said to me, which is he's got a lovely smile, and one of our friends, a mutual friend of mine and yours, Dan, when we used to watch WWE together, he always used to mention it. And the other day, the Raptor turned around and said, "But he's got such a lovely smile." And
maybe we'll have Jake Hager
to hear it off two people.
Maybe we'll one day have Jake Hager and his beautiful smile, and Lance Archer and his delicate lips in a face stable together. The wonderful giant men.
They would be destructive. Then there was a Mox promo, and what I've put here is it was short.
Yeah, this is what I said last time. I'm just Mox. I will fight everybody. I'll be in the inner circles, blindside. This is the People's Championship. Stone Cold Dean Martin. I'm sure Americans love it. He's okay for me.
I mean, I like Mox. I'm biased because I was a big fan of The Shield back in WWE, and I am a big fan of Mox. I like his general style and his charisma that he has and the way he comes through the crowd. But it concerns me that, and I think it's for a future discussion piece, it concerns me that the second AEW champion is another guy who's come from WWE. And there are plenty of their guys that have come from New Japan that are just as big, who could go on to have been that second champion.
I think a lot of the NJPW guys. Oh, sorry.
But I also think Mox is the right choice as well. So it's a really weird hypocrisy in myself. Sorry, you were about to say.
Yeah. So a lot of the NJPW guys have had all the big shit over there. Bullet Club is huge and is one of the best T-shirt selling stables of all time in wrestling. I don't mind, and I'm not a WWE guy, I don't mind the WWE wrestler thing, because I see these criticisms online and people are like, well, AEW putting a WWE guy at the top. When you watch a film, you don't go, oh no, look at Paramount putting a Disney guy as their lead role, do you? It's just employment.
Yeah, no, this is true.
But then again, as I'm starting to try to watch wrestling, I don't want to say it's like a mark or a smark. I want to accept kayfabe for what's shown, but realize it's a source of media. It's a TV show about a TV show about wrestling. You know what I mean? We're going to discuss more on this at the finale, if I'm honest, because
yeah.
So we should we'll leave that point until the end. I was getting a bit off tangent.
Yeah, Brody Lee video recap. Then the video promo. I at first I didn't enjoy it that much, and then I went back and watched it and sort of went, hang on a minute, I know someone who doesn't like sneezing.
You got the Vince McMahon reference.
Yeah, I started to pick up on it a little bit, and I wondered, because the second time I'd watched it, I actually had just gone back and watched his previous one that we were talking about earlier with the I Know a Tired Old Man. I was just watching some bits of promos back to back, and I was like, I still didn't think it was a great promo, but it was certainly, if that's what they were going for, I think that possibly hurt it more. They removed, but what I was going to say is, so it was me all along, Austin. It was me all along.
No.
So Vince McMahon really was the leader of the Dark Order.
Oh my God, we were shouting that when Christopher Daniels came down. We were like, what if it's Vince? Could you imagine the world will fucking explode? Yeah, no, I didn't feel this promo, if I'm honest. I was hoping, I mean, obviously, once again, things are going to be cut down. They quite like their video packages, and you can't exactly show Brody Lee going and kicking in somebody's door and breaking into their house when nobody's allowed into each other's house. You know what I mean? I'm not quite sure what the Order do. Like, we sat down with John Silver and Alex Reynolds, who are actually both very good wrestlers. And he's talking about how he's doing bits of his promo again. We do what we want and we've got numbers, but there's no actual like example of how any of this works. It's just like there's a crazy little businessman who tells people when and when they can't eat their steak and stuff. And have they lent too much into the Vince parody as opposed to actually telling me what the fuck the Dark Order does?
Well, I think the problem Dark Order have at the minute is the fact that they might have the numbers, but the numbers aren't allowed to be together and gathering in more than just two people.
Yeah, that's a big problem. So I didn't want to downvote this because, in honesty, there's been a bunch of little stories that have started and I've gone, and now I love Hangman. So I'm giving it a C because it could go anywhere. And I think Brody Lee is a great-looking and incredibly capable wrestler, even though I am going to criticize his match in a minute. So yeah, it was. We'll have to see where it goes. I wasn't impressed. I didn't get the Vince joke. The Vince joke was probably not needed. I've got to see more.
So then Brody Lee debuts versus QT Marshall, and Brody wins with a discus lariat squash match. I'm guessing I know what score this is getting and your thoughts on it.
D. What have I got written down? I've got fine. It was fine for a squash match, which I hate.
It showed a lot of Brody's moves off, so it gets them over now ready, so that gets them in, because he did his kind of greatest hits.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little bit like I did with the Jimmy Havoc Cody match, if I'm honest, except in a different way. Whereas I wanted Jimmy to come out against somebody, well, obviously I want them both to come out against somebody they can beat. I wanted Jimmy Havoc to come out and get this new uprising upstart. He's had a bunch of wins and sort of stomp through and rise up as this dark, gothic asshole who beats people up. I wanted Brody to fight somebody who's got a bit more of a rep. I mean, he's beat QT. Everybody's beat QT. Sure, the guy's good, but he's not a main. You know, he's not a challenging name. It's not like he was taking out an actual opponent who's upset the Dark Order or anything. It was just goodbye, QT. I'd have preferred him being shown being stronger entering by beating a stronger opponent.
I assume he's going to work his way through SCU. To get to Christopher Daniels as the final boss.
Once again, talent issues, and not everybody can get there. And seeing as every member of SCU is a high-tier dad, they're not going to go and risk their kids getting any form of coronavirus stuff, and they shouldn't, So, go on.
No, carry on.
Yeah, so that was based on my feel. I'd like to have seen him stomp somebody a bit stompier, as opposed to batter a guy we've seen battered. Hell, I'd have taken a Joey Janela or somebody, at least somebody who's in the mid-card area, as opposed to, you have beaten Cody's Rolly friend. He's very good, but he doesn't have a personality.
And then we had probably my favourite video promo of this Dynamite. The Nick Jackson update by Vanguard 1.
Oh, no.
I thought this was hilarious. This made me giggle. I liked the whole idea of our correspondent and it being Vanguard 1.
I've got to build up to all this because over the last few weeks I've been thinking a lot about the canonicity of AEW as a series. Whereas in WWE, only WWE and MMA really exist as sports. I think they've mentioned Japan as an area as opposed to NJPW as a company. Whereas in AEW, every other wrestling company exists. In their expanded universe, everything exists. And we have a Terminator Vision sentient drone called Vanguard One, spying on Nick Hardy training back. Can Nick Hardy actually be back for Blood and Guts? Wasn't Matt Hardy filling in the other space?
Yeah, I think it was just an update on Nick Jackson.
Yeah, okay, so he's healing. It's interesting. I'm going to have to see more of how the Broken Universe interacts with the AEW universe.
Especially as they're missing one of the Broken Universe.
There
will be no Brother Nero. I believe he has re-signed for WWE.
Oh, it's true, but pretty much anyone could go into the Lake of Reincarnation and come out with a new superpower. I mean, there's people who were given, from what I understand, I've been reading some of this shit. There are a selection of different wrestlers, from Rob Rising to Brother Nero, Bray Wyatt at one point, who have all been through the Lake of Reincarnation and come out with different spiritual entities possessing them. So, and it could go anyway. Maybe we'll get Broken Pentagon. He'd love that shit. That's very Pentagon.
After that was Sammy Guevara versus Kenny Omega for the AAA Mega Championship. Kenny wins with the One-Winged Angel. Thoughts on the match and score?
Best match of the night thus far, I've written. They were both playing to like an imaginary crowd, which helps. The weird kissing the picture of Brandy would have been weird if it wasn't for the continuous zoom-in shots on Brandy's face, which made me fucking piss. I think I've got them saved on my phone so I can send them to people.
Such a good, confusedly disgusted face.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. One of my comments I've written in my notes is, "This is good. I should be fair." So it was a good match. It was a very good match. They were acting up to everything. I'm glad they've probably combined with AAA to have a title match that could probably show them off as well. That's why I'm assuming we had a different promotion title match, so that it's shared across promotions. So fans can actually watch some stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if it's been recorded to be shown on a AAA channel as well. I gave it a B. It was a good, solid match. Once again, it was hard for me to get into because there's no crowd, and the crowd and commentary really mattered to me. I mean, Cody's trying, but he's no Excalibur and Taz. Good match. Being fair, good, solid match. B. If it had been tied into some story or something, it could have even been an A.
I think I expected this match to be the match of the night.
Yeah.
You looked at the two guys on it. Kenny put Sammy over so much in this match. I mean, Kenny could not get any offense in regularly. And Cody, I thought, really helped with his commentary. This is when his commentary for me really picked up very much. Because the way he was putting that over, the way he put it, well, in a minute, Kenny's going to, maybe he's not. You were getting that feeling of, are they about to actually switch this championship to this young guy in front of no crowd? No, they can't be. But yeah, I really enjoyed the match. I think with a crowd and with the full commentary team, I think this would have hit an A.
Yeah, completely. It was really, really good, solid match. Like I was popping for it as much as I could with no crowd. It had comedy. It had brilliant spots. I think Sammy's going to go miles. Yeah, fucking wicked match. Best match of the night. That's the only one that really felt like a proper how I normally enjoy AEW when everything, when everybody's not locked away due to the plague.
So then we had Jericho coming to the ring and the cameraman singing Judas and Jericho using the camera to film it, yet again proving why Jericho all along was the best veteran.
Yeah, he's just too powerful.
he was just so good. That made me laugh. And most importantly, we get to certainly my highlight of the night, Jericho face to face with Matt Hardy. First, Jericho gives Matt the chance to join the Inner Circle. Vanguard 1 comes to the ring. Jericho talks to Vanguard 1 as if it's a person, because he was brilliant, and then asks Vanguard 1 to join the Inner Circle. Matt Hardy's before we get to that, Matt Hardy's jacket.
Oh, his big coat. It's pretty good. It's no Brandon Cutler. Matt Hardy's coat. So I got so distracted by.
I think I'm going to have to let you gush about this, aren't I?
He can teleport. we have to watch what is shown on wrestling as if it's canon. Well, this is the information we're given. The TV show is real. It's never told us it's not real and an expectation to do things. It's not calmed anything down. It's gone, we are a sports-based promotion. Everything you see on this show is real. And we've accepted mid-tier comedy and such like. Matt Hardy can teleport. Matt Hardy owns a sentient drone, a true AI, and Matt Hardy has pyromancy. Now, normally when they have the crazy characters with your Statlander and stuff, people go, hoo-hoo, they're crazy, look at that. And Jericho continued to talk to him like he was crazy, like, yeah, all right, Matt, whatever, broken universe, after he had literally teleported to the ring. I'm not sure how they have to commit to this. They have to. You have to go full lucha with me now and go, no, we're fucking in. Bring out some undead warriors and a teleporting spaceman. I'm in, but yeah, I don't understand how we can bleed this over without a higher level of acceptance.
I think what I've written down here is AEW has its Undertaker in the respect of, and they're both great workers, but we have our supernatural character. You know, you could argue that the goth character that Darby Allin might be seen as or Jimmy Havoc with no, Matt Hardy is the Undertaker character in AEW now. He's the one that can do all the weird, wonderful special effects and controls all the special effects around, and it's not the guy in the back. I thought this was brilliant. I loved this.
I had a great time and was laughing, but I need to know how it settles, basically. Also, going back to your original point, I've reminded myself of his coat now. It's good. It's got a nice little clasp set down the front, and it's made out of that nice, ready, sort of 1930s curtain pattern. It's only a mid-tier coat, though. It really needs some shoulder pads to bust that out, I think. I think there's a bit too much arm going on. So it's going to be it's going to be mid-tier for the AEW, where the coat game isn't particularly strong, except in some exceptional people. But it's still a good coat. It's just not the best coat, which is Brandon Cutler's.
So yeah, Jericho talking to Vanguard 1 like he's a person. Jericho trying to keep everything sane with Matt. Something that the Raptor pointed out, and I don't know because I'm not completely up to date with the Broken Universe, but Damascus is another ancient city, the same as Jericho. And I believe another biblical city. So I wonder if that's part of...
That's a very good observation. I knew it was an ancient city because of the original Assassin's Creed game. And one of Rob Rison's tie-in promos to the Broken Universe... Oh, no, it wasn't a promo. It was one of his Twitter posts was Damascus was a city from such and such. So Matt Hardy is obviously aware of that in tying in his crazy media stuff. But take into account, he's also decided that AEW is Arcadia. So he's obviously just taken a bunch of ideas and sort of smashed them together like Lego.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's what the Broken Universe is.
He's going to reincarnate somebody, you know this. Somebody's going to get reincarnated by Matt Hardy.
Yeah,
and they might be able to teleport. He can build his own fucking X-Men here. He's more powerful than a mid-tier X-Man. I'm pretty sure he could take out Cyclops.
Is he going to put all of the elite through the Lake of Reincarnation?
What, turn
And
them back into heel elite?
oh,
NJPW, all bastards.
possibly.
I can have no prediction. He made the pyro spew flame at them when they were being scared away. He's got pyromancy and he can teleport and he has a true AI.
It's true Lucha Underground. It's magic and monsters. It's superheroes. It's one of the things I love about wrestling. And I agree with you. Take it for what it is. Matt Hardy can teleport.
It's like in the WWE when they gave that big man with a beard a little cage. Eric Rowan?
Yeah.
And it was revealed to be a mechanical spider, and then everybody said it was shit, and they just, destroyed it. I was like, no, mate, keep that. Have that spider come down to the ring. Have a guy into the ring with it on a piece of rope. You commit to that, and people will fucking love it. But they smashed it instead. I'll have to see how it settles with Matt Hardy. I mean, we've had some goofy stuff with Statlander, but everybody treated Statlander like she was mad, and the Dark Order being an evil cult that is legitimately a cult that preys on people from the streets in a American Horror Story style, is only a shade more ludicrous than teleportation and pyromancy. Sorry, less ludicrous. It's definitely not more ludicrous. So maybe the seeds have been there all along. Maybe I've just been watching it wrong. Maybe these shades of craziness and supernatural and it being like the world of darkness has been there, but I've got to see how this settles. Like, I couldn't judge it off that. I've just written he can teleport loads of times on my sheet.
I am looking forward to it. So then the show ended. There was the obvious Inner Circle run-in beat down on Matt and the run-in save. So something that AEW does a lot. They do a lot of run-in finishes. Do you think that's actually a good thing or a bad thing? I will say, as from when I first started wrestling, one of the things I loved as a young wrestling fan was love it when such and such came down to the ring to save someone, and I particularly hate it when someone just takes a beat down and nobody runs down. So I don't have a problem with this, but that appeals to my childlike babyface superhero fandom of wrestling. What do you think?
I think we're on a similar sort of page, but for different reasons, especially when Nick still lived with us. But whenever somebody runs out to the ring or a big fight breaks out, I just start shouting WCW at the TV. And I have a great time. As long as it's relevant, and I still don't understand why when people are getting beat up, nobody waits for 30 seconds at the steps for their mates to come with them. They all run out one at a time to get the shit kicked out of them. But no, I enjoy the run out, kick off, dub endings. I enjoy I enjoy shouting things like, "Isn't this an assault now?" because it's not in a match, and pointing at I get enjoyment out of the meta jokes of how if it's not in a match, it should be assault and such like. So no, I'm with you. I'm just on it for the more madness and chaos scale than necessarily the heroic saving of a well-stomped man.
What I did like just on that point was the fact that nobody ever ran out to save Mox until that time that Mox ran out to save Darby Allin, because Darby Allin was against the Inner Circle, because Mox didn't have any friends. And then Darby Allin ran out to save him because the week before he had saved. So that, and he had beef with the Inner Circle. I particularly liked that.
You're a proper little Darby Allin fanboy, aren't you?
I am. I think we'll come to more of that in a bit.
Oh, I think we will.
So, overall score for this week's Dynamite?
Most of my
sorry, I've skipped a bit. Score for the Jericho Matt promo, because I think it deserves a score.
I suppose the best way to put this is it's either a D or an S, and I don't know yet. I think that's the only way I can I can put this. I'll give it an A for my experience at the time. Out of raw entertainment, maybe a B or an A. But I need to know where this goes. I need to know if we're committing or if we're overlooking. Are we going to get more Lucha Underground, or are we going to get more sports entertainment? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was ludicrous, and I had a great time, but I was also exasperated and shocked.
So, yeah, overall for the show?
I'm gonna have to go with a C. There's a couple of D's in there. There's one good match. Yeah, it's gonna have to be a C. And once again, I'm viewing this as a raw entertainment, as a TV show, and just the lack of crowds, the lack of reliable commentary. Sure, everybody did well, but they weren't, a set team. Just gonna go with a C. It was all right. I had a good time. I hope some of these things lead into more. It's been affected by, the world dying.
Fair enough. Right, so now it is time for us to move over to our other section, and this is our rant of the week. And this week, this isn't anything to do with me. This is all you, Mr. Strange, so please feel free.
In AEW, we have approximately 10 set tag teams. 10, named, established, these people are tag teams. Out of these 10, I'd say we've got, six top bigger, most known ones. Bucks, Lucha Brothers, SCU, Hangman and Kenny, obviously. And probably the Best Friends are probably our top guys.
Yeah.
4 out of those 5 people have a shitty pile driver as a finisher. 40% of finishers in the WWE, in the AEW's best tag league ever, have a shitty pile driver with an assisted man doing something to slap you on the ass in one way, shape, or another. And it's just not variety. I mean, how can it? Like, I've even ranked them. I've gone through and watched footage of all of these. Like we'll start with the Melter driver. That's all the indie taker if it's not Nick Jackson or they don't do the correct flip, apparently, or something. One man goes into a tombstone position. The other one leaps over very impressively doing a flip or something. And then just sort of lightly slaps his ass or pulls his hits a bit whilst Matt does a generic pile driver. Nothing is added. No, like even I had to look up some of these finishes. Do you know? Some of the other finishers don't even have names. Like the Beaver Boys, what is their finisher? I couldn't find out what the Dark Orders was. That's SCU, the best Meltzer ever. The best moonsault ever probably is the best moonsault ever. It's wonderful. Put it into a Meltzer driver, and little Christopher Daniels, ultimate dad man, has to do. Not only does he have to do this moonsault, he also has to turn slightly sideways, which somehow makes it look shitter than the regular Meltzer driver. And the Meltzer driver is currently like my standpoint for meh on a tag team finisher. Then we work up the scale. We move up to the Lucha Brothers, one of the most established and best tag teams in the world. I personally think they're better than the Bucks. I have a great time. They've got Penta's pile driver, but this time Phoenix jumps on your bum and then bounces off. Wow. I mean, at least the bum stomp looks like it adds something to the overall process, and like the light hip caress of the basic Meltzer driver or the best Meltzer ever. Still not perfect. Still just the same move. Going into my love for a certain rarer tag team, the obvious best looking one of the alternative Meltzer drivers is the Strong Zero by the Best Friends. Because the dude busts a position where he's round behind with his head in his ass is at least not just a pile driver position. And how Chucky jumps onto his ass actually makes it look like he drives him into the floor as opposed to sort of bouncing off and then a pile driver. There's just so many more. We've got the not quite shoulder and raise into a code breaker, the fatality for the Butcher and the Blade. We've got the weird V-trigger clothesline that Hangman and Kenny does, which I'm not a fan of because there's no impact. They just sort of hit him and then he stands there wobbling like a Mortal Kombat person waiting for a fatality. It's not great, but it's not another assisted pile driver. Hell, when Tully did a spike pile driver with Spears, at least he grabbed his legs and pushed him down, and that dude's like old as fuck. There's just the Street Sweeper is cool. Gin and Juice is the best tag team finisher in that promotion, possibly the best since the Doomsday Device. It looks cool as shit. But no, we have Pile Driver with a... I mean, Pile Drivers look shit anyway. I mean, is anybody really a fan of tombstones and stuff? They're largely your standard issue pile drivers. Just hold a man upside down with his dick in your face, drop him so his head's about 4 inches off the floor. But this time your mate will rub his sides lovingly as he goes. It's just shit. Learn some new finishers. SCU can go back to doing SCU later, that's the shoulder into the thingy? I've forgotten. Because what they've done is the best Meltzer ever. Please, learn some different... If you're in a tag team, which is incredibly unlikely, if you're an aspiring wrestler, don't take the advice of these megastars who get paid millions of dollars to be on TV. Take advice of this man with grey hair who is sat in his office speaking through a PS4 headset to his phone and has done 2 wrestling lessons. Please, no more indie taker Meltzer driver bullshit. They're bollocks, and I hate them, and they look shit. Get some impact. Do something cool. Are you still there?
I am here and in hysterics. I did not want to cut over you there.
Sorry, I went on for a bit. I was just...
That's perfectly fine.
Do you have any thoughts on finishers in tag team wrestling?
Yeah, fuck the silly string. Gin and Juice is the best tag team finisher since the 3D.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Yeah, look, I even went through. I started watching everybody's like tag team moves. I had to look them up, like the Street Sweeper by Prem the Powerful, which is just a safer Doomsday device, shall we say, which is good as the Doomsday device broke necks.
I think the Dark Orders is the Fatality.
Oh, no, you're probably right. Just from MJF shouting, "Do a thingy" at Butcher and the Blade last year made me think it was called the Fatality. I mean, I really like the Dark Order as a tag team. I think they're actually one of the best groups of people who work as tag teams. But yeah, just like Gin and Juice, high flying flair. You do a tag team move off a turnbuckle, and I'm generally with you. And yet somehow the best Meltzer ever is. You've just heard me rant about this. It's fucking bullshit. Look, it's the top like 4 teams as well. All 4 of them, the same finisher. Come on now, except for Hangman and Kenny. Oh god, it's the. Yeah. Oh no, missed off Iron Powerful. Yeah, they've all got the same finisher. Like, come on now. Do something cool. Powerbomb somebody into get. Oh, I did miss off Jurassic Express on my tag team list. That's embarrassing. Because they're always doing cool shit like power bombs into tosses, into kicks and stuff. They're probably one of the most innovative of the teams. Right, I'm done being angry now.
Yeah, rant over.
Meltzer drivers. Fuck Meltzer drivers, rant over.
So again, this would be our point where we would have any questions or things you wanted our thoughts on. Second episode, we still haven't got any. But feel free.
Growing.
Email us, wrestleopinionated@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at WrestleOP. We also have
WrestleOP1.
WrestleOP1. We also have a Facebook page, which you can find by looking up WrestleOP. So yeah, get in touch. Send us questions.
Please send us questions. Give me something to rant about. Let's fucking do this. We'll talk about anything.
If it's something you want us to rant about, we'll have a rant for you as well. We will quite happily rant about something we even like.
I'm willing to make myself angry over anything.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's up next, Morgan?
Now it is time for us to have our little bit of discussion on. So last week we discussed who we considered to be the best veteran. And talked about some of the sort of the older wrestlers. This week, we want to look at discussing the best up-and-comer. And I was tempted to do my usual thing of, and why is it X?
Yeah.
But
I think you were ill-prepared. You were ill-prepared for this subject, Morg.
Who is the best up-and-comer? I'm going to put my hat in the ring first.
I wonder
as you probably expect, and you probably know who I'm going to suggest. Darby Allin, for me, he's got that Jeff Hardy physical charisma. Jeff Hardy never used to be able to cut a promo, and Darby Allin's promos are not actually that bad. He has got this amazing physical charisma. He has the move set. The thing that scares me is he has a similar move set to Jeff, and he's straight edge. So he's, in a good way, he's never going to fall into some of the demons that Jeff did. In a bad way, if he carries on the way he's going, he's what, 27 now? He's probably not going to be wrestling for much longer. I think he is a total future package to watch out for. I really enjoy watching him. Who's your counter argument?
Well, you see, I've had to make a few options here because I actually looked up at the age of pretty much every wrestler, and obviously originally the sort of idea for this was like 25 and under, but we slipped it up by a couple of years because you really wanted to get Darby Allin in. Unfortunately, do you want to hear the list of male wrestlers who are under 30?
It's going to be a lot.
Adam Page, Phoenix, Santana, Ortiz, Darby Allin, Kip, Sammy, MJF, Jungle Boy, both of Private Party. That's just the men.
That's fair.
So, if we're keeping it under 30, I mean...
well, I would say that it's up-and-comer. So I would say someone like Phoenix, who is very established, has been, I believe...
Newer names. I've got you. We're going to lean into the people we haven't really heard of.
Yeah, but I do think that still allows your personal favourite to be in because he's not held. Phoenix, I believe, was the guy who held the AAA Mega Championship. I believe that's who Kenny beat for it.
Yeah. No,
so I think we can take Phoenix off the plate.
No, I'm with that, and I was going to take Santana and Ortiz out because they're both quite established. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phoenix is fantastic and amazing because he's just all over the place. So I had to narrow it down. I got myself down to 3. I left out Sammy. Sammy didn't make it into my final 3. I think he's got a huge amount of potential. I think
that's brilliant. Interesting. He's in my 3.
Okay. I left out Kip. And
that's my 3rd.
I think Kip is ace and fantastic. But I had to try and narrow this down. I left out Darby Allin out of my final 3. And that's nothing against Darby Allin. It's just narrowing down what I was looking for. My final 3 for who the best up-and-comer rising people were going to be is Jungle Boy, MJF, and Adam Page. Now, Darby is fucking cool as shit. Can't fault him. And all of my comparisons were the Jeff Hardy comparison. You know, Jeff is Jeff. Jeff has done wonderful. Jeff is cool as shit. But when I got down to it, it was how much can these characters actually be reinvented? Where can they go with them? Now, I don't think Jungle Boy is great. He's got great talent. He's got great flippiness. I'm not sure he's got a force of personality enough to... he's definitely got less force of personality, instant charisma than Darby Allin does, don't get me wrong. And Darby is ace.
I think his will come when he moves away from the more gimmicky... as much as I love... I nearly said Lucha Express, Jurassic Express.
I always do that.
Yeah.
When his eventual solo turn away from the more youthful... Yeah, that's where my issue came to. I was like, who can reinvent themselves? Who's got this gimmick that they can take wherever they can? And that can go anywhere, plus that overall physicality. So my last 2, MJF and the Adam Page. Now, MJF is a phenomenal heel. He's got great physical comedy in his acts. He's in great shape. But he's not as technically good as some of the other guys. He can do a good show, but he's not quite up there with like the phenomenal physique and activity of some of the others. So I finally, and I know we both thought this was going to be MJF at the start, I finally settled down on Adam Page. I think he has the skill in the ring, the charisma, and is at such an age and ability in his career that he will be able to reinvent himself into heel role, into face roles, hell, even become different style characters as things go on. Darby is wicked and badass and has a really cool thing, but is he going to be like Jeff Hardy? In another 20 years, is he just still going to be Darby Allin doing this?
Yeah,
Hello?
I think that's a fair. No, that is a fair description. So you said that you discounted Kip and Sammy, and for very similar reasons, I think Sammy. Very similar reasons you put Adam Page. I think Sammy has got that same future. He's got the moves, the ability, the youth, the charisma, and the vocal charisma, not just the physical charisma.
This was really hard to tie down.
Sammy can cut a promo, and he cuts a fun promo. And watching his vlogs, you can see that there is a baby face bursting to come out just as much.
He was a baby face in Lucha.
Yeah, but it's that baby face, and also the advantage I think he has. Adam Page has got people like Kenny and the Bucks and Cody with him. Sammy is currently learning off Chris Jericho.
Yeah, fair.
He is learning off the master.
You've got a very. There's so many good options. It's ludicrous. They've got so much young talent that can go in. Yeah, if it isn't already conquering its division, like Adam Page, Phoenix, Santana, and Ortiz, just so much. Arguably, Adam Phoenix, Proud and the Powerful are like the most successful of the up and comers, whereas Darby, Kip, Sammy, MJF, Jungle Boy, Private Party are like not quite there at the moment, if you know what I mean. They're not the big winning stars. But yeah, it's really hard to pick.
I think they yeah. I think you're right. I think if we're having Adam Page has got to be the big up and comer, and I will agree with you there.
If I went for a secondary one, I'd probably go for MJF once he's polished up his ring work a little bit. Just due to the fact of you don't have to be the best guy in the ring if you've got enough charisma, and the guy can sing. He's got like theater qualifications. He loves professional wrestling. He loves the entire fucking show business side of it. As long as he doesn't get overhyped too early and collapse into madness like a lot of them do, if I'm honest.
I think they're a lot safer nowadays from that. I think they've learnt from the mistakes. I will put. I think we're still going to have Darby Allin versus MJF. I think for getting over with the crowd, Darby Allin's just physical, personal charisma is going to always get him over the crowd. Not just the set of moves. And wrestling fans love a goth. They really do love a goth character. Wrestling fans, and even non,
Yeah, no, he's the
alternative guy who is the outcast, because we are the outcast sports fans. When you talk about being a wrestling fan, I know we talk about it loud and proud on Facebook, but quite a lot of the time you do go, yeah, I quite like wrestling.
Yeah, no, I'm having to explain it to people. Oh, it just doesn't look real to me. I don't know how you watch it, mate. How do you make it through Star Wars?
Yeah,
come on now.
What's your podcast about? Wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling. Just unapologetic now. Me just shouting wrestling things at people. You've got to be. No, I get you. Darby Allin is the.
So I think that argument, the how did you make your way through Game of Thrones? You do know that the fight scenes in Game of Thrones weren't real.
Yeah, exactly that. It's not real. Yeah, no shit. What, you mean I can't do a handstand, grab a man's head with my legs and throw him like 5 foot? I can't pull a man so hard he can run. I mean, I've seen some pretty strong people, but I've never known anybody can make a man run with sheer strength.
Except
Ooh.
in our form of entertainment, a man physically does do that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
So
so
there's our I think that's our discussion.
we've not done women's. We've
Adam
missed the
Page.
women's.
Oh, and okay, yeah. I was expecting us to save that, but I'm quite happy to do the women's as well.
No, I'm in. I've written down from what I can work out of the 4 youngest ones, who are B, Ford, Britt, Statlander.
Okay, so
I've
I've got to think on the fly here because I held back on the women's to do it as a possible future.
Oh, sorry, man.
The best.
I got
No.
excited.
It's perfectly fine. On the fly, Statlander's obviously the one. They've wasted her by having her face Nyla too early. Statlander for me.
Right. I obviously left off the 2 youngest Joshis, Riho and Yuka, just because they're not going to get over in the UK and America as much as they will do in other places, and most Japanese female wrestlers tend to give up in their late 20s/early 30s. I don't want to make an assumption about that, but that tends to be the.
I'm going to have to counter that with both Oscar and Kairi Sane, who
Oh,
are in WWE, are not. They're
no,
not that young.
there's exceptions. Don't get me wrong, but largely they all drop out in their early 30s, and this is just from watching pro wrestling and stuff like that. They tend not to stick through, and these ladies are more Japanese pro wrestling style than American style. But we'll have to wait and see. Because otherwise, I love Yuka, but she's a bit too crazy for the main thing. I think our next big one, I think the rising star is going to be Bea Priestley. Now, I love Statlander, and Statlander is phenomenal, but you can tell she's a bit green from listening to professionals actually talk about things. She's missed a couple of spots here and there. There's been a couple of little botches. Never anything big, but just a few little slips. And this isn't to say that Bea didn't kick Britt in the head and give her a concussion in her first AEW match. But Bea's improvement and the fact that she's properly always training with a selection of the Japanese partners and such like in Japan, and the Joshi wrestling in Japan is traditionally a little bit more aggressive and potentially painful. This is like Japanese male wrestling compared to AEW's American wrestling.
My 2 top favourite wrestlers currently over everything are Io Shirai and Oscar. So I'm totally with you on that.
Look up Kagetsu if you ever get time. She was my fucking hero. But I think B is in the right sort of environment, and she's got enough Japanese indie fans as well that will push through this. She'll get a bigger fan base spread out over things, especially seeing as the AEW Women's League isn't exactly winning a lot of fans right now. I'm gonna watch B. I think she's got the best possibility at the moment. If Statlander can round out her alien gimmick and work on a promo game, like I was ranting about her from the start, her Oklahoma roll and. It's not Big Bang Attack, it's Big Bang Theory, incredibly different show. She's got all of the right moves and stuff. She's just not quite got that edge of flair, whereas B's got that sort of sneery asshole thing. I think she's a bit more confident at shouting at people, and I think that's going to help on the performance level.
And you'll have to excuse us for a short break there as our internet signal seemed to drop. So some of that may have cut off horribly.
Everything exploded.
Yeah, just this has been the episode of problems.
Technological fails.
So I'm just going to recap what the end of our discussion was. It was that we think Adam Page with Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin are the future up-and-comers. And for the female division, we both think that it's Bea Priestley and Kris Statlander. Yeah,
Yeah, there are.
You won me over with that.
As I'm slightly, you're more in the WWE world, so when we get to learn about different things, you're like, oh, all these facts and this Vince reference. I'm like, I haven't got a fucking clue. But when it comes to weird indie wrestling, I'm like, oh, did you know that MJF and Statlander had a match in, I think it's GCW or some shit like that? It's yeah, that was finally my area to come in with my knowledge, as it's been a more WWE leaning one this time in comparison.
So that being said, this is the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to thank Anchor.fm for hosting the podcast. Please follow us on the Anchor app, Spotify, or YouTube. We have other platforms coming soon. We are awaiting recognition on iTunes and Google. I will now hand you over to Mr. Strange to say goodbye.
Hello again, everybody else. Here we are for the goodbye again. Please do contact us at Twitter at WrestleOP1 or on Gmail at the same account. Do watch us on YouTube if you can. If you can put us through an extra view on anything else, please do. If you're having any issues with listening to us and thinking, oh my God, I hate those guys, we will take feedback and we'll do anything we can to give you a little bit more of a show that matches your style. Every share, like, subscribe really does help us and will inspire us to do more. You want to criticize us? Fucking sling me some shit. Let's do this. Give us some questions. We'll talk about stuff. Give us some subjects. We'll do anything. Hell, we're talking about doing a WrestleMania watch, which will be like my first one in a decade. So please contact. Let us know what you think. And otherwise, take care for another week. Hope you don't get the coronavirus.
So, thank you for listening. Goodbye and good night.